4 years after their adventure in Monte Carlo, Nick and Audrey Spitz have fully embraced their new life as private detectives. However, their detective agency is struggling. They take on cases, but business isn't going well, and they are barely making a living. When they receive an invitation from their wealthy friend, Vikram, the Maharaja, Govindan, to attend his wedding on his private island, they see an opportunity. They hope that being connected to someone as rich and powerful as Vic will give their agency more credibility and bring them more clients. Excited for a break and the chance to turn things around, Nick and Audrey arrive at the island, where they meet several interesting guests. Vic's fiancée, Claudette Joubert, is a sophisticated French woman who seems perfect for him. His business partner, Francisco Perez, is a charming but arrogant man who brags about having been with 10,000 women. Then, there is Countess Sekou, Vic's former fiancée, who still seems to have feelings for him. She is always accompanied by her loyal lady-in-waiting, Amani. Vic's sister, Sarah, is quiet and keeps to herself, unlike her brother, who enjoys the spotlight. His bodyguard, Lou, is a tough and intimidating man who will do anything to protect him. Also attending the wedding is Colonel Ulenga, an old friend of Vic's. He once saved Vic's life during an assassination attempt, but in doing so, he lost his left arm. As the wedding celebrations begin, Nick and Audrey enjoy the luxurious surroundings, but something feels off. Tensions among the guests are high, and there are secrets hiding beneath the surface. What was supposed to be a relaxing and glamorous event might turn into something much more dangerous. At the wedding, Audrey notices a cloaked figure moving suspiciously behind Vic's elephant. As she watches closely, a shocking moment unfolds. A dead body suddenly falls from the elephant. When the guests rush to see who it is, they discover it's Lou, Vic's bodyguard. Nick immediately senses that something bigger is happening. He suspects that Lou's death is just a distraction. While everyone is focused on the body, Nick catches a glimpse of a mysterious figure abducting Vic. It quickly becomes clear that they have once again been pulled into a dangerous conspiracy. Nick and Audrey analyze the situation and realize that there must be at least two people involved, one person to create the diversion with Lou's body and another to carry out the actual kidnapping. Since only the company's board members knew that the elephant would be part of the wedding ceremony, they are now all suspects. The couple begins questioning the guests. Francisco tells them that Claudette was forced to sign a harsh prenuptial agreement before marrying Vic, something the board demanded. Sarah insists that Claudette is not the right woman for Vic. Meanwhile, Claudette reveals that Vic had discovered a dark secret about Francisco. Soon after, Countess Sekou adds another shocking detail. Francisco has 85 paternity lawsuits against him and has been secretly taking money from the company to cover the costs. The next morning, a team of professional detectives arrives to take charge of the case. Leading them is Connor Miller, a former MI6 hostage negotiator. Nick and Audrey, hoping to prove themselves, try to impress Miller. However, instead of recognizing their skills, Miller sees them as suspects. He points out that their detective agency is failing, and they might have kidnapped Vic for ransom. Before they can defend themselves, the kidnappers call with their demands. They instruct Nick to personally deliver a ransom of $70 million to the Arc de Triomphe in Paris in exchange for Vic's safe return. Nick and Audrey travel to Paris with Connor Miller, who takes them to the exchange point with the $70 million in cash. As they wait, the kidnappers suddenly appear and force Nick and Audrey into a van at gunpoint. Inside the van, the couple fights back. A struggle breaks out, and by the time it's over, the kidnappers are dead, and the van crashes into Café Procope. After escaping the wreckage, they realize they are being framed for Vic's abduction. A fake video is circulating, showing Nick running out of the wedding tent with a knife. However, Miller arrives and explains that the footage is a deep fake, created to frame them. He then takes the briefcase full of money and tells them to meet him at La Madeleine. Just as they are about to leave, Miller's car suddenly explodes. To their shock, a mysterious figure steals the briefcase of money but is then hit by a truck. The briefcase flies onto the road, and the truck driver picks it up and walks away with it. With the help of Inspector Laurent Delacroix, Nick and Audrey track the truck to a countryside chateau. However, when they arrive, they are ambushed by Countess Sekou and Amani. The two women insist they are not the kidnappers, they only want the money. Things quickly spiral out of control when Sekou shoots Amani. As Sekou prepares to kill Nick and Andrey, a dying Amani manages to shoot her first. Nick and Andrey escape and call Delacroix and the others. They come up with a plan, telling the kidnappers that Vic should be brought to Le Jules Verne, the restaurant inside the Eiffel Tower, where they will hand over the money. At the meeting, Vic arrives, but he is strapped into a bomb vest. Nick quickly realizes that the kidnappers would never put the ransom at risk, meaning they must have a way to stop the bomb. As he predicted, the countdown on the bomb suddenly stops. At that moment, Miller appears, revealing himself as the mastermind behind the abduction. He had faked his death by hiding in a bomb-proof titanium chamber inside the car just before the explosion. Miller prepares to kill everyone, including a woman named Susan, a lonely widow who had come to the Eiffel Tower that night in hopes of meeting her lost love, Gary. She and Gary had promised to reunite there after 10 years. But before Miller can attack, Andrey grabs onto his harness, and as he tries to escape, she is pulled with him to the top of the tower. Nick chases after Miller, fighting off his men and destroying the detonator. Meanwhile, Miller, still attached to his harness, grabs Andrey and throws her off the tower. With no time to think, Nick engages in a brutal hand-to-hand fight with Miller. As they struggle, Nick grabs the briefcase and flings it open, scattering the ransom money into the wind. Down below, the others manage to deactivate Vic's bomb just in time. Susan, the lonely widow, tends to Inspector Delacroix, who was shot by Miller. As Delacroix shows her how to make perfect smoke circles with his vape, the two instantly fall for each other. Back at the top of the tower, Andrey reappears, having managed to grab onto part of the structure. She jumps back into the fight and helps Nick tie Miller's harness to the tower's elevator mechanism. Before Miller can free himself, the elevator pulls him up, straight into the spinning rotor blades of his own getaway helicopter. The helicopter explodes and crashes into the Seine. Relieved, the group returns to the restaurant, but Andrey suddenly notices something strange. Sarah's hand appears dark, as if covered in blood. Sarah brushes it off, saying it's just smeared henna from all the chaos. However, Andrey quickly pieces it together. She remembers that Sarah was missing when Vic's elephant arrived at the wedding, and the cloaked figure who killed Lou had fresh henna stains on their clothes. It all makes sense. Now, Sarah was the second conspirator. She was furious that Vic had been given sole control of the family business, and she had already tried to kill him once in Mumbai. Exposed, Sarah pulls out a gun and tries to shoot Vic, but Ulenga steps in, taking the bullet for him, losing his right arm in the process. Before Sarah can do anything else, Claudette knocks her out with the briefcase. With everything finally settled, Vic and Claudette decide to elope. As a token of gratitude, they gift Nick and Andrey $10 million in cash, packed inside a rare dinosaur leather briefcase worth an additional $3 million. Nick and Andrey head to Greece for a long overdue honeymoon. However, their happiness is short-lived. While flying in a private helicopter, their supposedly European pilot suddenly pulls a gun on them. To their shock, he speaks with an American accent. Before they can react, he steals their millions and jumps out of the helicopter, leaving them scrambling to take control of the aircraft. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.